This is Money Made Simple, the financial podcast that keeps it simple and gets to the point.
Kia ora and welcome back to Money Made Simple, brought to you by Simplicity. I'm Liv.
And I'm Jennie.
And today we are going to be looking at part 2 of our Save and Spend series. And this is a little bit more of the fun side of things, right? Spending.
Yes, I think spending is definitely the fun side of things. So a quick recap on what we covered in the part 1 of this was much more of a focus on saving money. So we revisited some old ideas about saving costs and tightening that budget, but also levelling up in terms of looking at some of the big costs in our life, like rent, mortgages, that kind of thing,
Insurance.
and where we can make some changes, as well as some ideas about supplementing your income.
Yes.
So in part 2, we're going to look at spending. So even if you have a really, really tight budget,
You've still got to spend, right?
you're still going to be spending some money. So in this session, we'll look at how you can spend smarter.
And better. Yeah. So sometimes you have to spend a little to save a lot, right? Sounds a little bit like a cliche, but I think it is true. So smart investing in the good stuff and not spending on the stuff that you don't really need to be spending on.
Yep. So let's start with the sort of small everyday things that we're constantly needing to buy in our lives. Things like shoes, cookware, technology, that kind of thing. When you're on a tight budget, it can be really tempting to buy the cheapest option available. But when you do that, and everybody knows this, you're likely to have to replace that thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's a really short-term mindset, right?
Yes. So if you can afford to buy better in the first place.
I don't think it's even affording. I think it's saving up to. Like buy less.
Planning.
Yeah. Buy less, know that you're going to buy that item and so don't spend on other stuff in the meantime. Yeah.
So shoes is a really good example. You can buy your Kmart shoes and that's great.
probably
And that's
break in
probably
6
good
months.
for the kids because their feet grow really fast. But if you can afford to buy better footwear that can be fixed over the long term, you might have it for years and years and years. You will actually spend less on
Over the long term.
your winter boots.
I
if
think
you buy the
same
good
with
ones.
clothes. I think that's a really big thing for me. I have a terrible track record of buying cheap crap like from Kmart and H&M. But if you invest in not just the brand but good quality stuff, sometimes that's made locally. Like
I was
good
going to
example
say,
of,
do you want to tell us about the shirt that you're wearing?
I think it's called Marsha, and it's just so much better quality. It's made in New Zealand, which means it's more expensive. But if you can save up to buy those items that you know will last you in the long term and have been made ethically and to a high quality, I think it can make a really big saving in the long term, even though it seems expensive.
Yeah. The other option when budgets are tight is to go down the thrift option. So you've got
You're
your
good
New
at
Zealand
this.
made, I'm all thrifty. And then you're not so worried. You're spending less, and you're not so worried that it won't last
Well,
forever.
you might be spending less, but also getting great labels. There are some op shops that focus on really high quality, like labels type
the stuff that you wouldn't be able to afford in the shop the first time, but you can buy it
Pre-loved.
secondhand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cookware is another big thing. I actually used to work for a cookware company, Ironclad, that is made in New Zealand, cookware, cast iron. And if you look at the difference between the cheap Teflon pans that you're probably going to have to replace
Every year or two.
Yeah, exactly. When it starts chipping off versus cast iron, which they literally have a lifetime guarantee. So you pay more up front. I think they're a few $100, but you'll save in the long term.
Well, a few $100 for a pan for life, that's actually a pretty good deal. That's a good point to make, actually, that when you do buy better, and it doesn't necessarily have to be more expensive, we can talk about that in a minute, but you buy better quality, then it's likely that they might come with a longer warranty. They're made so that they can be fixed and kept for the long term, like your beautiful shirt that you're wearing. Because of the quality of the fabric, you'll be able to fix any problems with it, whereas if you got that from Temu or something, it rips, you chuck it out, and
and
it's
you
gone.
keep feeding that consumerism. Same with if you're a homeowner, so you've got things that in your home that you invest in, the long term rather than short term, low quality stuff can make a really big difference. Especially with power prices and gas, like we talked about last episode, continually going up.
Yeah, so that would be examples investing in things like insulation or double glazing. It's a upfront cost, but over time, it's probably going to save you money. Solar panels is another. I would love to put solar panels on our house, but I know the upfront cost, it won't actually pay itself off for about 8 to 10 years. So stuff like that's a big commitment. You need to know that you're going to be staying in your house for a while and it's going to be worth it.
There's smaller stuff as well, right? Like LED light bulbs that only cost a little bit more than the
but
old
last
ones.
forever and ever and ever. The other thing is appliances. So, things break, washing machines and fridges, that kind of thing. They're really big power guzzlers. So if you get to the point where you need to replace something like that, finding something that's really energy efficient.
And maybe a little bit higher quality. Yeah, it might be a little bit more of that cost up front that you have to save up for, but in the long run it will last longer and not break down.
It takes a bit of planning and maybe a bit of research. The most expensive type of something isn't necessarily the best.
Yes, that's an easy trap to fall into. And we like to
pay
talk
for
about
the brand.
Yes, we like to talk about that with KiwiSaver, right? The more expensive fees don't necessarily mean better performance. So it's not always the case. So you've really got to do your research.
Yeah, and there's lots of information out there where you can compare different brands and work out what that point of difference is. Yeah. Okay, so that's the kind of spending on the everyday stuff in your life. The other thing that I think is really important to think about is spending on you instead of stuff.
Yes, and our top tip, and this is one of my favourite things that justifies my lifestyle actually, is spending on experiences over things. There's a load of research out there that actually shows that the memories that you build from having, shared experiences with loved ones, connection, personal growth, actually bring a whole lot more satisfaction to your life than a new car or new clothes, that the stuff. Yeah.
I always talk about on this podcast the want monster.
Yes.
That was the one bit of financial advice, I guess, that my parents gave me, and the idea that it'll never shut up. You're always going to want new things, and when you buy something you get this very short-lived sense of dopamine hit, sense of satisfaction, and then you just want the next thing. Whereas spending money on doing things and sharing things with people,
like the trip of a lifetime after a couple of years.
That's a lifelong sort of happiness. So I think that's really important. But spending on yourself is more than just experiences. I think that investing in your skills and knowledge and education is another really good thing to do. Not only do you make yourself a better person, on the side it could save you some money. So if you or make you some money, if you're improving your education, you're getting another qualification or whatever, that could expand your employment opportunities.
Yeah, true.
But if
or let
you're
you do a side hustle.
Or let you do a side hustle, but it could also mean that you can fix your own washing machine. If you do a course on, can you do a course on fixing washing machines?
I mean, I think that you can probably just watch a whole lot of YouTube. So invest your time in watching YouTube videos on how to fix a washing machine safely.
Or you might learn to sew. And then you can sew your own clothes or fix your own clothes.
My husband fixes my clothes, which is...
God, your
shout
husband.
Out. I know, it's like the wonder husband.
Cooks your dinner, sews your clothes.
Yeah. I think another thing as well as upskilling and learning to be able to spend smarter is also spending on your health. So health is wealth, as the saying goes. So spending on, for example, fitness, mental well-being, preventative care for your health will very likely pay off massively in the long term and stop you from having to spend on stuff that is actually horrible to spend on.
Or your insurance gets more and more expensive.
Yeah, can save money and stress down the track, right?
Yeah. So I think in previous conversations we've talked about if you've got the gym membership on January the 1st that you're not using, cut it, right? But actually the better thing would be to go to the gym.
Get the gym membership and go to the gym.
Yes.
Well, and make sure it's something that you actually enjoy, that has that longevity, because of often the things that we hate doing, we spend money on just for the idea of it and then don't do it.
Yeah. So I think almost any spending on yourself, on your health, on your development, on your well-being and happiness is going to be money well spent.
As long as you actually do it, not just the idea of it.
Yeah.
Cool. And the third one that we've got in terms of spending smarter is investing in future you.
Yeah, and I guess this is probably one of the things that we talk about the most, right, is the things that you do now that will put you in a better position in the future. So this is thinking about things like long-term financial security, your retirement, maybe your kids' education in 20 years. It's the long-term thinking.
Yeah, it might feel really far off, and I think that's an issue with people's way of thinking about KiwiSaver and why they want to get it out rather than put it in. But the earlier you start and the longer that you are invested, the bigger the payoff in the future, and you do have to think about the future.
Yep.
Yeah.
And hopefully we are talking to our regular listeners, so they will have heard us talking about optimising KiwiSaver. Those kind of things, they seem small, but they will make a big difference, making sure you're in the right fund, making sure you're getting the maximum employer contribution as well as the government contribution.
Making sure you're with the right provider for you that align with your values and needs.
Yes. And we talked also about the rainy day fund, I think in part 1 of this episode. So spending a little bit of money now, putting it into account, that is going to save you money in the long term if something happens.
Yeah, it stops you from getting into what we call bad debt when the inevitable happens, your car blows up or something like that, and you don't have that rainy day fund. So
yeah. And another one, thinking about long-term financial security, is being prepared to spend some money on advice. So there is lots of free podcasts, website, resources out there where people can get pretty good financial information. But in some cases, it really is worth spending a bit of money on having someone independent look at your finances and help you make some more informed decisions. It's a real weird one that people often aren't willing to spend money to make money, but I think that's a
And I think a caveat
one
here is that there are a lot of free advisors out there as well as the free resources. But with those free advisors, they've got to obviously make their money in some way, and that will usually be commission-based. So they will give you either a one option or a more limited option rather than looking across the spectrum. So we believe personally that it's worth paying that money up front for the financial advice if your situation needs it.
Yep. And there are lists around of independent financial advisors available.
Yep. Which we will put on the show notes. There's some other great resources out there to help you with smarter spending. So again, sorted, as we always say, they've got some guides around how to start a budget.
Yes. Money Hub really have got some great comparison and reviews, but they've got a really great article called Frugal Decisions That Backfire. And I've included this in the show notes because this is where people have thought they were making the right decision to either save themselves money or buy better quality something because it's going to save them money in the long term. But I guess they've looked more at a brand that they know, or that it's the most expensive, so it must be the best.
Yes.
That's not always the case. So it's got some really good case studies of people that have made
so worth checking out.
Yes, mistakes, and you can learn from theirs rather than making them yourself.
Cool.
Which is always good.
Check out the resources in the show notes. Key takeaway, I think, with this episode is it's not about never spending. We all have to spend. It's about spending well or spending better.
Yeah, and being really intentional, not listening to old want monster over there, but thinking about when you're spending, why am I spending? How is this going to impact me now and in the future?
Yeah.
Being deliberate.
Yeah, and doing that smart spending, you can kind of see it as an investment, either in the now or into your future self. So it was a good idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
So spending, woohoo.
Yeah, so what would be a key action that you'd want people to do from here?
A bit like in part 1, I think it would be just thinking about one thing that you could do that would be, in terms of the money that you are spending, a little bit differently. So do you really need a second Sabin handbag? Or could you put that money towards doing something with your group of friends or your family? So just pick something where you make a slightly different decision and then see how that feels, and then keep doing that.
Go to an op shop this weekend and see what there is there versus going to your favourite store that you keep spending up at and then regretting.
Yeah.
Cool. So
do that.
Be deliberate. Think about it. Spend and save with your long-term happiness and financial well-being in mind.
You got it, Liv.
Cool. I think that's all for today.
Okay.
Wrap it up. Ka kite anō.
See you later.
This podcast contains personal opinions and is intended to provide educational information only. It doesn't relate to your particular financial situation or goals and is not financial advice or recommendations. Simplicity New Zealand Limited is the issuer of the Simplicity KiwiSaver scheme and investment funds. For product disclosure statements, please visit Simplicity's website simplicity.kiwi.